Hi, good morning. Hopefully you have your binder at home because today is March 16th and here's your objective for the day. Remember, every day we're going to be writing your date and your objective, and we're starting chapter 7. So we are going to learn how to add and subtract fractions. For some of you, you already have this down, and this won't be a difficult lesson or homework assignment for you, but we're going to go slow so that everyone has it. Remember, there's a ton of resources on the internet to find if you're confused after I'm finished with you. But remember, you can always email me questions and I can work the problem out and then upload it to the blog so that your questions will be answered. Let's talk about adding fractions first. And I think everyone will be comfortable or is comfortable if I put something like 1/3 plus 2/3 on the board and I ask you to do what to this? First of all, what would my directions be to this thing? Do it? No. I'd say simplify. And I'm going to use the word simplify because this is hopefully the word expression came to your head. Words that you should know, words that you should have on your index cards, and you should be reviewing after your TikTok and Snapchat. Okay? This has to be done. Make sure you're reviewing your words so that when we are back together, or when we do have quizzes this week, you won't have to struggle, and you'll know the words, and you won't have to be tempted to cheat since you're at home and I'm not there watching you. Okay, so if I ask you to add these two fractions together, hopefully you notice and say, okay, well the denominators are the same, which is good. So I just add the numerators, and the denominator stays the same. So 1/3 plus 2/3, that would be 3/3. I added the numerators, and I have this. Now, of course, you have to simplify in the end. 3 divided by 3, any number divided by itself is equal to? Hopefully you're saying 1 in your head, and that answer will be 1. If I ask you to subtract fractions, and they have common denominators, like 4/3 minus 1/3, I'm asking you to subtract these. They have common denominators, so I'm going to take the numerators, and I'm going to say 4 minus 1, which is 3 divided by 3. 3 divided by 3, any number divided by itself is equal to 1 when you simplify it. No problems there. What happens if the denominators aren't the same? I know most of you are like, yeah, I got this, which is very good. That makes me happy. If I have 1/3 plus 2/5, 1/3 plus 2/5, what am I going to do here? In order to add these, you have to have common denominators. What's the lowest common denominator for 3 and 5? Hopefully you're thinking 15. I am too. So each fraction must be rewritten with the common denominator. I have to multiply this fraction by a number. 3 times what gave me 15? 5. If I multiplied the denominator by 5, I have to multiply the numerator by 5. Over here, 5 times what gave me 15? Hopefully you said 3. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6. What I did here is 1/3 and 5/15 are what kind of fractions? Starts with an E. Equivalent. You wait back there, Jack. These are equivalent fractions. So remember, you can't just multiply the denominator and change it to 15 and the numerator stays 1 still. No, they wouldn't be equal. Now that the denominators are the same, we're going to add the numerators, keep the denominator, make sure it's in simplified form where there's no common factors that can be reduced, and you're finished. How about if I'm subtracting? 7/10 minus 1/2. 7/10 minus 1/2. The denominators are different. I need to get common denominators. The common denominator for this, some of you would say 20 right off the bat because you want to multiply those two, which is fine. But remember, when you do that, you're usually going to have to add a step in the end and simplify. So that's why we went over and learned least common denominator. So the least common denominator is the number that both will go into, that is the smallest. So that would be 10. Since the least common denominator is 10, this fraction doesn't change. This goes to 10 and multiplied by 5. It would help you, I still do it, and I'm, ancient, but I write the number there because if the dog barks, or the kids come home, or the phone rings, or my, ding goes off that I have a text message, I'm gonna forget what I did, and then I'm gonna have an error. So please make sure and write what you're doing to change 2 to 10, so that you can remember, oh, I did it to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. 7 minus 5 is 2 over 10. Do these two have a common factor? They do. I would divide both by 2, and I get 1/5 as my answer. So I need to remember to reduce that fraction at the end. You must simplify at the end. If you leave it where the fraction is not simplified, you're going to get it marked wrong. So let's not do that. So we're adding and subtracting, and we're making sure that we have common denominators. Okay, I'm going to put a problem up on the board, and I want you to work it. So I want you, after you write the problem down on your binder, I want you to work the problem out, turn me off, work the problem off, and then turn me back on. And I want to see if you get it correct. 1/5 plus 2/9. 1/5 plus 2/9. Okay, turn me off and work the problem. Turn me back on when you're finished so you can see me explain it. All right, the common denominator is going to be 40. That's incorrect. The common denominator is 45. Thank you, Jan. I'm sure you were thinking that. This new numerator is 9. This new numerator is 10. I'm adding them together. That's 19 over 45. The 19 and the 45, the numerator and denominator, they do not have any common, so you are finished. So I hope that's what you got. Okay. The next thing I want to do is what happens if we have a mixed number. Like, what about 9 minus 6 3/5? How do I subtract those? Couple of different ways. You could rewrite 9 as 8 5/5. Why did I choose fifths? Because my other number, its denominator, is a fifth. And because when I add and subtract fractions, I want to have common denominators. So I could do that. Now I can subtract my whole parts. 8 minus 6 is 2. Then I subtract my fraction parts. 5 minus 3 is 2/5. That's my answer, 2 2/5. Or, because this does get harder, I like to change mixed numbers to improper fractions. It's just easier all the way around for me. So I would do 9 over 1, because that's what 9 is, if I wrote it as a fraction. And I would change this to 33/5. It's an improper, it's a mixed number, and I changed it to an improper. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 3 is 33/5. At this point, you have to get common denominators, and the common denominator would be 5. I would multiply the top and the bottom here by 5 and get 45/5. Here, this one, the denominator didn't change, so we bring it down. 45 minus 33 would leave me 12/5. This is an improper, and it's in simplified form, meaning the numerator and the denominator do not have a common factor. So I could leave it like this, or you can make it a mixed number, either way, which would be 2 2/5. So either method, and if you need to stop the video and look at this right now to see which way you like better, but this way is the way that I encourage the students to do it, because as we get where we're subtracting fractions, and our answer is going to be negative, stuff starts to get a little bit more complicated. So I push you to change things to improper and then get common denominators and then either keep it an improper fraction, which is my favorite. I don't like mixed numbers. I like improper fractions as long as they're in simplest form. All right, let's try one of these. Okay, I'm going to put it up on the board once again, and I want you to work it. When I write it up here, I want you to turn me off. I want you to work the problem, and then turn me back on to see my explanation, and hopefully our answers will be the same. We have 8 1/5 minus 4 5/6. 8 1/5 minus 4 5/6. Okay, turn me off and work this problem. Turn me back on when you're ready to hear the explanation. All right, as I told you before you turn me off, these are mixed numbers. I don't like mixed numbers. I like improper fractions. So I'm going to change this to an improper fraction, which is 41/5. This is 29/6. I do not have common denominators here. My common is going to be the product of 5 and 6, which is 30. I multiplied this by 6 and this by 5. This becomes 246. This becomes 145, and I'm subtracting them. The denominators are the same. I keep the denominator. I subtract the numerators. Your answer is 101 divided by 30. They do not have any common factors. I know that by my divisibility rules, which is why it's important for us to know them. That could always be another thing while you're sitting around, is put the divisibility rules on index cards, like a flashcard, and make sure you know the divisibility rules for 2, 3, 5, 9 are probably the most important. I can leave this improper. I like improper, but if you like mixed numbers, change it. On the test, I'll take both, as long as your answer is in simplest form. Simplest meaning no factors in common. All right, so your answer should be 101 over 30. Hopefully you got that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do tonight. You're going to work on adding and subtracting fractions, adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Your assignment is going to be on a separate upload called 6.0 Math. So look for that, open that up. Looks like there's 15 problems that I want you to do. And you make sure that you have the date and the objective, you took the notes, you worked the problems, then your homework's going to follow. So tomorrow when you tune in, you're going to have a new date, March 17th. You're going to have a new objective, and you'll have a new me. Okay, if you have any questions, you can email me, and I can work the problem out and then upload it on the blog for you. All right, wash your hands. Have a good day.